The ultimatum. The sky above Old Geneva was scorched bronze, the clouds torn apart by the constant passage of alien warships. The city below had long since ceased to function, its spires cracked, its avenues cratered, its silence broken only by the low hum of hovering drones and the distant echo of collapsing buildings. Beneath the ruined shell of the United Nations headquarters, deep underground, humanity's last resistance cell gathered in the war room. The air was thick with oil, dust, and quiet dread. Holograms flickered over the round table, tactical feeds, orbital schematics, and one enormous face, the scaled, silver-eyed visage of General Zara of the Vraex Dominion. His voice boomed through the cavern like a god speaking from orbit. Humans will kneel. He paused, letting the words settle like ash. Your survival has become inconvenient. Surrender your weapons, your leaders, and your remaining strongholds. Do this, and your extinction will be delayed. Resist, and your bones will be dust in the soil we terraform. Commander Zara Myles didn't flinch. She stared at the alien general's image as if daring it to blink. The others in the room, a patchwork of engineers, soldiers, ex-hackers, medics, and battle-scarred freedom fighters, all turned to her. Some expected a reply. Others feared one. Zara stepped forward, slow and deliberate, her boots scraping the cracked concrete floor. She was tall, lean, her dark hair streaked with dust and blood. A jagged scar ran from her temple to her jaw, a souvenir from the first orbital bombardments. She leaned over the console, hit the comm switch, and looked directly into the holographic lens transmitting back to the Vraex fleet. Her voice was steady, sharp. Human. Kneel first. For a beat, nothing moved. Not even the hum of machinery. Then the feed cut. Static swallowed the hologram, and a tremor of electricity rippled through the room. No one spoke. No one had to. Zara turned to her team. Her tone was all business now. Time's up. We move tonight. Operation Sovereign Flame is live. A murmur swept the chamber, equal parts disbelief and grim excitement. Her second-in-command, Eli Chen, stepped forward. We haven't fully mapped the Nexus uplink. If we screw up, that orbital AI will cook the entire hemisphere. We won't screw up, Zara said. They think we're fractured. They think we're scared. Good. Let them. While they're looking up, we go underneath. Another voice piped in, Dr. Mbeki, a former systems engineer turned rebel hacker. The Vraex don't just control the satellites. They've synced them to the terraformer algorithms. If we take the uplink, we control their drones and the climate systems. Zara nodded. Exactly. They turned Earth into a machine. Let's break it open. Across the table, Isla Moreno, demolition expert, grinned. You just want to blow something up. Zara smiled. Just a flicker. Don't you? The team spread out, gathering gear, reviewing routes, syncing their comms. Each knew this might be their final mission. But no one hesitated. Zara lingered a moment in the war room. Alone now, she stood before a cracked glass wall displaying the old UN emblem, a faded reminder of a world that once believed in unity. She touched the badge still sewn onto her jacket, UNSC Recon Unit 17. Once it had meant peacekeeping. Now, it meant survival. She remembered the first week of the invasion. The cities falling like dominoes. The sky splitting open with Vraex drop pods. How humanity, fractured and slow, had been caught off guard. But humans adapted. They learned. They bled. And they endured. No AI model had predicted that. She clenched her jaw, turned, and walked toward the launch bay. Above ground, the sky rumbled again. A Vraex dreadnought drifted overhead like a leviathan. The pressure made the walls shudder. Zara looked up through the reinforced glass ceiling as the ship passed. Somewhere in that behemoth, General Zara was watching. Waiting. Humans will kneel, he had said. She whispered to herself, almost like a vow. Not today. Not ever. And with that, the resistance marched into the dark, toward the heart of the enemy, the edge of hope, and the spark of defiance that no empire could crush. The hammer falls. The tunnels beneath Geneva were pitch black and breathing dust. Old subway systems, flooded and half-collapsed, had become the arteries of the resistance. They were damp, claustrophobic, and crawling with memories of a civilization that no longer existed. Commander Zara Myles moved like a shadow through the dark, rifle slung across her back, eyes fixed ahead. Behind her, 6 others followed in silence, each one handpicked for this suicide run. Their mission: infiltrate the orbital control nexus, the Vraex's primary planetary uplink, and hijack its core signal. If they failed, the AI failsafe would purge the hemisphere with orbital fire. If they succeeded, Earth would become the first world to ever break free of Vraex control. "Checkpoint coming up," whispered Eli Chen, scanning a cracked access panel with his wrist pad. "Vraex patrols hit this junction 12 hours ago. Motion sensors are still hot." Zara gave a silent hand signal. "Hold. Move." They waited. A long breath passed. Then Isla Moreno crept forward with a portable signal jammer, her fingers dancing over the device like a pianist. Within seconds, the alien sensors blinked red, then died. "Path is cold," Isla whispered. "For now." Zara led them forward. Above them, on the surface, the war raged like a distant storm. Plasma fire lit the sky. Resistance cells across Europe had launched synchronized diversionary strikes, giving the illusion of a full-scale uprising. But the real battle, the one that mattered, was happening here, underground, with 7 souls and a few stolen Vraex codes. As they reached the entrance to the Nexus's subterranean conduit, Zara paused. It was a monolith, a smooth black doorway carved from alien alloy, humming faintly. Vraex architecture was precise, cold, and disturbingly alive. The moment you neared it, you felt watched. Eli stepped forward and plugged in a cracked tablet loaded with Terran Vraex interface code. Sparks flew. The panel pulsed. Then, with a hiss, it opened. "Once we breach this threshold," Zara said, turning to the team, "we're inside their hive. Expect pressure-sealed chambers, bioscanners, zero gravity in some sections, and resistance from Zara's elite guard." She looked at each of them in turn. "None of you have to go forward." No one moved. Isla cracked her neck. "After what they did to Nairobi, I want to look them in the eye when we take their toy away." Dr. Mbeki nodded. "This uplink isn't just a relay. It's a mind. A god they built to rule us. Let's show it what humans can do." Zara smiled. "Just enough." They stepped through. Inside, the Nexus was another world, sterile, humming, and bathed in shifting light. Gravity reversed briefly as they passed into the AI's core corridor. Lights pulsed under their boots. The walls breathed. "It's awake," Becky whispered. Then came the sound, not footsteps, but something worse, scraping metal and the unmistakable growl of Vraex enforcers. Zara dropped to one knee. "Contact. Ambush pattern Bravo." Drones descended from the ceiling, their frames insectal and bristling with plasma blades. Eli opened fire. Isla hurled an EMP charge. Sparks flew. Screams echoed. Zara fought like she had nothing to lose. Smooth, precise bursts from her rifle, one shot for each metallic skull. The team moved like a single mind. But the Vraex were fast. Too fast. Eli took a hit, a searing bolt to the chest. He dropped to one knee, blood spreading. "I've got the door," he shouted. "Go." "No." Zara stepped toward him, but he shoved her back. "You want this mission to mean something? Then finish it." She hesitated, one heartbeat too long. Then nodded. "Thank you," she said softly, and turned away as Isla dragged her toward the final chamber. They breached the control core. The heart of the Nexus was suspended in a gravity well, a glowing sphere surrounded by alien glyphs and pulsing threads of data, stretching into the air like veins. Becky ran forward, hands already moving. "I can hijack the signal. But it's either that, or destroy the failsafe. I can't do both." Zara's voice was iron. "We hijack. We fight with their weapons. Flip the whole system." The room shook, a deep, guttural vibration from above. "They know," Isla said. "Zeres is coming." Zara didn't look away from the glowing core. She raised her comms. "All units," she said. "This is Commander Myles. We are inside the Nexus. Phase 2 is go. Burn their sky down." Outside, across the globe, resistance cells heard the call. and the fires of Earth burned brighter. Kneel first. High above the Earth, in the command chamber of the Vraex dreadnought Vorkara, General Zara stood silent, arms crossed behind his back. Around him, holographic displays shimmered, cities flaring with rebellion, drones turning on each other, orbital platforms falling dark. He watched as his empire unraveled, not from an outside threat, but from within. A single species had done this. Humans. His lieutenant approached, her voice strained. The Nexus has been compromised. Local drone swarms are no longer responding to Vraex command. Resistance cells have coordinated uprisings across 14 sectors. Zaris turned to face her. His voice remained calm. Activate the failsafe. We can't, she replied. The human insurgents rerouted the override access. We would have to purge the entire control network. He said nothing. Instead, he opened a private comm channel, one reserved only for direct engagement with enemy command. He knew who would answer. Deep inside the Nexus core, the room pulsed with alien energy. Panels glowed red with warnings as Vraex systems fought the override. Zara Myles stood at the center of it all, sweat clinging to her brow, blood on her arm, rifle low at her side. Becky was still working at the interface, fingers flying. Isla stood guard near the far corridor, eyes on the breach point. Then the hologram bloomed, not from their projector, but forced in from the Vraex system. General Zaris. Tall. Silver-scaled. Eyes like burning mercury. Behind him, the stars wheeled silently. He didn't roar. He didn't threaten. He simply looked at her. You understand this changes nothing, he said. This display, this spark of chaos. It will be extinguished. Zara met his gaze, unmoving. Your kind never learns, Zaris continued. Kneeling is not defeat. It is survival. Civilizations that submit become part of something eternal. You could have joined us. You chose death. She stepped forward, closer to the projected image. Her voice was low, calm. You mistake survival for living. And you mistake fear for obedience. Zaris tilted his head. You believe defiance makes you strong. But it has cost your people everything. Zara's eyes hardened. It's the only thing that ever made us strong. She raised her left arm, revealing a small projection of Earth. Cities were rising. Drone fleets were collapsing. Entire sectors once thought lost were broadcasting a single encrypted signal, repeated in every language. Kneel first. That's not a catchphrase, Zara said. It's your epitaph. The general's hologram shimmered. For the first time, his mask cracked. You would rather die than kneel? She didn't hesitate. You invaded our sky, burned our cities, enslaved our people. And still, we're standing. A moment passed. Then, in the background, a distant klaxon began to wail. Isla called out, They've breached the outer corridor. We've got about 2 minutes before they're in. Zara didn't flinch. She kept her eyes on the hologram. Here's your final lesson, Zaris. When you fight humans, you fight the impossible. You fight every stubborn breath, every last bullet, every broken soldier who crawls back to his feet because someone behind him still believes. She stepped closer. You said humans will kneel. She leaned in. Kneel first. The signal cut. The projection dissolved. Above Earth, on the Vorkara, General Zaris stood alone. The silence around him felt heavy, oppressive. He was Vraex, engineered for dominance. But something had shifted. He felt it. It wasn't just a military defeat. It was the loss of control. In the Nexus chamber, Becky looked up. We're in. I've got access to the uplink network, full command suite. We can feed false directives, invert command hierarchies, and scramble drone loyalty. They won't know who to shoot. Zara exhaled. Isla threw her a smirk. Guess we just became gods. Zara shook her head. No gods. Just angry humans with a grudge. Outside, the tremors grew louder. A wave of plasma fire lit the hall. They had minutes at best. Zara turned to Mbeki. Spread the signal. Full spectrum. Every occupied world. Let them hear Earth's answer. He nodded. A final keystroke. and the message pulsed outward, across the stars. We kneel to no one. Sovereign flame. The walls trembled. The floor cracked under the strain. Smoke rolled through the Nexus chamber like a tide. They were coming. Commander Zara Myles stood still in the center of it all, her rifle low, her eyes locked on the sealed blast door as it buckled under pressure. Beyond it, she knew, was General Zara's, not a projection this time. He had come in person. Final wave's coming, Isla muttered, checking her magazine. I've got 2 charges left. Becky. Signal's still broadcasting, he replied. But if we lose the uplink node, the whole override collapses. Zara made a decision. Seal the uplink. Lock Becky in. He froze. What? You're the only one who can keep the stream alive. If they get in here, we lose everything. Lock the core. Don't open it unless it's me. Becky stared at her. Zara. No time. She grabbed Isla by the shoulder. We hold the line. The heavy door to the uplink chamber slammed shut. A steel hiss echoed through the Nexus like a tomb ceiling. Outside, the hallway exploded in a hail of plasma. Vraex elite enforcers stormed through, plated in obsidian armor, eyes glowing blue, moving like a coordinated machine. Zara raised her rifle and fired. Isla threw a charge and screamed into the chaos. For Earth! They fought not like soldiers, but like fury given form. Every bullet, every scream, every drop of blood, a cry of resistance echoing through the bones of the world. Then the walls gave way. And he entered. General Zara's moved through the smoke like a monolith of death, taller than any of his guards, wrapped in a cloak of kinetic energy that flickered like lightning. His plasma blade ignited with a roar. He looked at Zara with cold recognition. You should have knelt. She dropped her rifle and pulled a combat knife from her belt. No. She charged. Their fight was not clean or elegant. It was brutal. Zara dodged his blade by inches, landed strikes that dented his armor, and bled from cuts she barely registered. Her knife found weak points in his side. He grabbed her by the throat, lifted her. Why do you persist? Zara's snarled, squeezing. She choked, then spat blood in his face. Because you don't get to win. Then Isla tackled him from behind, jamming an arc grenade to his spine. The blast threw them apart. Isla hit the wall and slumped, unmoving. Zara crawled toward her knife. Zara staggered, one arm failing, sparks leaking from his armor. But he stood. Still towering. Still defiant. Zara rose on shaking legs. No strength left. No backup. Just rage. He raised his blade. She raised her eyes. And then, the ceiling above them groaned. A sound like tearing metal ripped through the chamber. From above, the Nexus itself began to collapse. Becky had overloaded the core. Earth had had enough. High above the planet, in orbit, the Vraex fleet flickered. Ships turned against each other. Targeting systems misfired. Drone squadrons began attacking their own command vessels. And across the galaxy, on other Vraex-occupied worlds, humans heard the signal. This is Earth. The Vraex told us to kneel. We answered. Kneel first. The message wasn't just heard. It was felt. And uprisings ignited like wildfire. In the ruins of the Nexus, Zara crawled from the rubble. Her lungs burned. Her body was broken. But she lived. General Zara's did not. He lay on his knees, impaled by debris, his weapon flickering. And still, his head bowed. She stood over him. You wanted us on our knees, she whispered. He looked up, barely conscious, confusion behind fading eyes. And saw the skyline of Geneva, burning, shattered. But human. Zara activated her comms and broadcasted to every remaining Vraex ship. Your general is down. Your Nexus is ours. Earth is free. This is your last chance. Kneel. Or burn. The feed cut. She collapsed to one knee, not in surrender, but exhaustion. 2 days later, under a sky washed clean by storm and smoke, Zara stood on a ruined balcony of the old UN tower. Below, survivors gathered. Fighters, medics, families. Even a few alien defectors. The war wasn't over. But it had changed. For the first time in a generation, they had hope. Isla stood beside her, bandaged but alive. Becky approached, holding a cracked data slate. Signals still out there. Other worlds are listening. Zara nodded. Then we give them something to believe in. He smiled. You want to name the new alliance? She shook her head. No. She looked to the horizon, toward the rising sun. Let them name it for what it is. The day Earth stood. The day we refused. D&D.